High above the Alps, where the border between France and Italy blurs into snow and rock, Mont Blanc rises in silent majesty. At 4,805 meters, it is the highest peak in Western Europe. To millions, it looks like a dream, a white pyramid of ice glistening under the sun, with ski resorts and quaint alpine villages nestled at its base. But behind the postcard view lies a truth few realize. Mont Blanc kills more people than any other mountain in Europe. Year after year, climbers set off full of hope, and many never come back down. Some estimates say around 100 lives are claimed here every single year. That means Mont Blanc isn't just a beautiful mountain, it's a white graveyard. What makes it even more unsettling is that Mont Blanc doesn't look impossibly technical or out of reach. In fact, with cable cars and trams carrying people thousands of meters up the slopes, it seems almost inviting. The kind of climb people imagine as a once-in-a-lifetime adventure, something you do before retirement or on a daring holiday. And maybe that's the problem, because what looks like a simple snow-covered hike has turned into one of the deadliest traps in mountaineering. Think about this. On Everest, the danger is obvious. You see the death zone, the long queues, the oxygen masks. It looks terrifying even in photos. But Mont Blanc? People book it like they're signing up for a weekend hiking trip. Some train for months, others, well, they just train their credit card by hiring a guide. And that illusion of safety is what makes Mont Blanc so lethal. Over the years, avalanches have wiped out entire groups of climbers in seconds. Sudden storms have trapped people high on the mountain until exhaustion claimed them. Falls into hidden crevasses, rock slides in the infamous Grand Couloir, and tragic missteps on icy ridges have all added to its reputation. One French guide once described it bluntly: Mont Blanc is not dangerous because it is high. It's dangerous because people believe it is easy. And so we arrive at the haunting paradox. Mont Blanc is breathtaking, accessible, and achievable, yet it has the highest body count in all of Europe's mountains. Hey, real quick, when was the last time you did something unforgettable? Viator makes it crazy easy to book real adventures. Everest Base Camp, Kilimanjaro, Tokyo, everything. I actually used it myself, and no joke, best decision I've ever made. Don't just watch other people live life, go live yours. Links below. Today, we're going to uncover why this beautiful giant is called the White Killer. Mont Blanc is not just a mountain, it's a symbol. Rising to 4,805 meters, it's the tallest peak in Western Europe, standing like a frozen crown above the Alps. On clear days, you can see it from miles away, glowing white against the sky. For centuries, poets, explorers, and climbers have looked up at it and felt the same mix of awe and temptation. In fact, the very idea of modern mountaineering was born here in 1786 when Jacques Balmat and Michel Picard stood on its summit for the first time. That climb lit a fire in the hearts of adventurers across Europe. Suddenly, the mountains were no longer just barriers, they were challenges. But Mont Blanc is also unique because it's not hidden away in some remote wilderness. It rises above bustling towns like Chamonix and Courmayeur, where cafes, ski lifts, and hotels sit right at its feet. You don't need a month-long expedition or weeks of trekking through valleys to reach its slopes. Instead, you can be sipping an espresso in the morning and riding a cable car up thousands of meters the same afternoon. That convenience makes it seem harmless, almost like a tourist attraction instead of a deadly mountain. And that's exactly where the danger begins. Every year, more than 20,000 people set out to climb Mont Blanc. That's more than many Himalayan peaks see in a decade. And unlike Everest, where months of preparation and eye-watering permit fees keep the crowd small, Mont Blanc feels almost casual. The trams, cable cars, and huts lining the popular routes make the climb seem like something anyone can tick off their bucket list. It's been called a long walk with crampons, and that phrase alone has probably lured more people to their doom than any advertisement ever could. But Mont Blanc is deceptive. Its height alone means oxygen is thin, storms sweep in without warning, and the cold bites harder than most people expect. Add in overcrowded trails where climbers jostle for position on narrow ridges, and suddenly, the dream of a leisurely alpine ascent becomes a very different story. Mont Blanc isn't just a mountain, it's a trap, hidden behind beauty and accessibility. And while many reach the summit safely, the sheer number of attempts ensures that each season, the mountain takes its toll. Mont Blanc has a reputation that sounds almost exaggerated, around 100 deaths every year. That's more than Everest, more than Denali, more than almost any other mountain on Earth. But the reasons aren't always what people expect. Mont Blanc isn't just dangerous because of altitude or technical climbing. It's dangerous because of a perfect storm of risks. First, there's the mountain itself. Rockfall thunders down its slopes every summer, especially in the notorious Grand Couloir, a crossing so infamous it's nicknamed the bowling alley. One wrong step there, and you're the pin. Then there are avalanches, sudden and merciless, burying climbers in seconds, no matter how skilled or experienced they are. Add to that hidden crevasses yawning beneath the snow, storms that arrive out of nowhere, and temperatures that can plunge to Arctic levels even in July. It's not one single danger that makes Mont Blanc deadly, it's the sheer variety of them. But the mountain alone isn't to blame. Much of the danger comes from the people climbing it. Mont Blanc is marketed as an achievable adventure, a place where anyone in decent shape can stand on the roof of Europe. That promise draws thousands who may have never held an ice axe before. Many underestimate the thin air, the steep ridges, and the brutal cold, thinking it's just a tough hike. And when you mix in crowds of inexperienced climbers, it creates chaos. Imagine dozens of people clipped to ropes, some confident, some terrified, all moving slowly while storms roll in overhead. It's less like an expedition and more like a traffic jam at 4,000 meters. Guides feel pressure to push their clients to the top. After all, nobody wants to pay for a failed climb. That production line mentality has been criticized for years, but it still drives many poor decisions. And then, there's human pride. Few want to turn back when the summit is in sight, even if exhaustion is setting in. That combination, false confidence, crowded slopes, and stubborn determination, is often more deadly than the avalanches or rockfall themselves. On Mont Blanc, the biggest killer might just be the belief that it's easy. One of the darkest days in Mont Blanc's modern history came in July 2012. A group of climbers set off before dawn on the Trois Monts route, roped together, confident and experienced. But confidence means little when the mountain decides otherwise. Without warning, a massive avalanche ripped down Mont Blanc, sweeping away everything in its path. 9 climbers were killed instantly, their bodies buried under tons of snow and ice. Among them were guides who had summited countless peaks, people who thought they knew the risks better than anyone. The avalanche made one thing brutally clear: Mont Blanc doesn't negotiate. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. When the slopes collapse, you're simply gone. And avalanches aren't rare here. Every season brings fresh reports of climbers entombed by snow. It's easy to imagine that disasters like this only strike on the highest Himalayan giants, but the Alps prove otherwise. Mont Blanc sits thousands of meters lower than Everest, yet the dangers are just as unforgiving. One French newspaper put it bluntly after the 2012 avalanche: Mont Blanc killed 9 at once, and it will kill again. The mountain's reputation as the White Killer was carved deeper into history that day. In September 2024, Mont Blanc claimed another 4 lives in a tragedy that shocked even seasoned rescuers. 2 South Korean friends and an Italian couple had taken the Trois Monts route, starting strong, pushing steadily toward the summit. But then the weather turned. For 3 long days, they were trapped high on the mountain, battered by storms, their strength draining with every passing hour. When rescuers finally reached them, the climbers were only 100 meters below the summit. They had died not from a fall or an avalanche, but from sheer exhaustion. Their bodies lay half buried in snow, a chilling reminder that sometimes the greatest danger is simply staying alive long enough to descend. Reports at the time used a haunting phrase: they died of exhaustion. It wasn't the official medical cause of death, but it perfectly captured the cruel truth. Mont Blanc demands endurance, discipline, and luck. And if even one of those runs out, the mountain takes its payment. That story spread quickly, not just in Europe, but across the world, because it shattered the illusion that Mont Blanc is just a long walk. 4 climbers, so close to the roof of the Alps, undone by the simplest and most human of limits: the body's refusal to go any further. Only months later, in July 2025, Mont Blanc struck again. This time it was on the sharp, icy crest of the Aiguille de Bionnassay, a knife-edge ridge that leads toward the summit. 2 French climbers, a 25-year-old woman and a 56-year-old man, fell from the ridge and were later found lifeless at the base, over 4,000 meters above sea level. The Bionnassay route is admired for its beauty, but it is unforgiving. One slip, one misjudged step on its narrow spine, and there's nothing to stop a fall of hundreds of meters. It doesn't matter if you're young, experienced, or careful, the ridge has no mercy, and tragedies here don't stop with one story. Just a few weeks earlier, another pair of climbers were found dead below the Aiguille du Tricot. The year before, 2 Koreans and 2 Italians perished near the summit, while others fell into crevasses or slipped during rappels on Mont Blanc du Tacol. Each case is different, yet the outcome is always the same. Families left grieving, and another reminder that Mont Blanc's statistics aren't abstract numbers. They are names, faces, and lives cut short. It's this relentless cycle of beauty and death that keeps the mountain feared, and yet, somehow, just as irresistible. Mont Blanc's tragedies aren't limited to climbers. The mountain has been the stage for some of Europe's most haunting disasters in history. In 1950, Air India Flight 245 slammed into its icy slopes, killing all 48 on board. 16 years later, in 1966, another Air India plane crashed almost on the same spot, this time claiming 117 lives. Among them was Homi J. Bhabha, the father of India's nuclear program. Imagine that. One of the most brilliant scientific minds of the 20th century, gone in an instant against the white wall of Mont Blanc. To this day, wreckage from both crashes still surfaces from the glaciers, slowly carried down by the mountain's ice like grim time capsules. And then, decades later, disaster struck not above Mont Blanc, but beneath it. In March 1999, a transport truck caught fire inside the Mont Blanc tunnel, a crucial link between France and Italy. Flames spread so quickly that drivers had no time to escape. Smoke filled the tunnel, and when the fire was finally brought under control, 39 people were dead. The tragedy forced engineers to redesign the entire system with emergency shafts, cameras, and escape routes. Yet for many in the region, the memory of that day still hangs as heavy as the smoke did inside the tunnel. Mont Blanc may look like a pristine monument of nature, but its history is littered with catastrophe on its summit, on its ridges, and even far below its foundations. To understand why Mont Blanc is so dangerous, you have to look beyond the beauty and into the science. The mountain is riddled with what climbers call objective hazards, dangers that no amount of skill can fully control. The most infamous of these is the Grand Couloir, a narrow crossing where rocks thunder down all summer long. Guides call it the bowling alley because when you step into it, you're basically gambling with your life. A study by the University of Savoy Mont Blanc found that more than 20,000 people cross it each season, and on average, nearly 4 climbers die there every year. Those are lottery odds you never want to play, but the risks don't end there. Avalanches sweep entire routes clean, lightning storms strike without warning, and crevasses wait silently under thin snow bridges. Mont Blanc isn't just one hazard, it's a cluster of them, waiting to strike from every angle. And because so many climbers are on the mountain at once, exposure to these dangers multiplies. It's like putting thousands of people into a casino where every game is rigged against them. The more who play, the more will lose. What makes Mont Blanc even deadlier today is how the mountain itself is changing. Climate change is melting its glaciers and thinning the snowpack, exposing loose rock that once lay frozen in place. That means more rockfalls, more instability, and more hidden crevasses opening where climbers least expect them. The White Killer is literally becoming more dangerous with every hot summer. Guides who have worked here for decades say routes they once trusted now feel unpredictable, like the mountain is rewriting its own rules. Then there's the human factor. Overcrowding has turned Mont Blanc into a kind of high-altitude traffic jam. On narrow ridges, climbers jostle for space, waiting in line while storms build around them. The huts along the route are booked solid weeks in advance, so even if the weather looks questionable, people often climb anyway, because rescheduling is nearly impossible. Add in the pressure guides feel to deliver a successful summit, and you get what some have called the production line of mountaineering. One American guide put it perfectly. One person makes a bad decision, and everyone else assumes it must be safe and follows. On Mont Blanc, that herd mentality can be just as lethal as the avalanches. Mont Blanc carries nicknames that sound more like warnings than titles of honor. The White Killer and Death Mountain. These names didn't come from climbers trying to dramatize their adventures. They came from generations of funerals. For decades, rescue teams in Chamonix have pulled bodies from crevasses, from avalanche debris, from ridges where one slip ended a life. Statistically, Mont Blanc kills more people than Denali, more than the 6,000-meter peaks of the Andes, and even more than Everest in most years. Not because it's the tallest or the hardest, but because it's climbed more often and underestimated more deeply. That reputation hasn't scared people away. If anything, it's made Mont Blanc even more magnetic. For many Europeans, standing on its summit is a rite of passage, a way of saying they've conquered the Alps. Some even treat it like a tourist challenge, slotting it between ski holidays and cycling trips. But Mont Blanc doesn't care if you're chasing a bucket list or a lifelong dream. It hands out glory to some and tragedy to others, and no one knows which until it's too late. What makes Mont Blanc so haunting is this paradox. It's both Europe's most achievable peak and its deadliest. Climbers walk away with bragging rights, photos from the summit, and stories of standing on the roof of Europe. But behind every celebration, there's another story of loss. Local cemeteries in Chamonix and Courmayeur are filled with plaques honoring those who never returned. A quiet reminder that Mont Blanc doesn't forgive arrogance or mistakes. And yet, people keep coming. Because danger, in some twisted way, adds to the allure. To climb Mont Blanc is to flirt with a legend, to stand where so many have stood before you, and to hope you don't become one more name on its long, tragic list. One guide once said it best: Mont Blanc isn't dangerous because it's high. It's dangerous because people believe it's easy. That belief has fueled its deadly reputation more than any avalanche or storm. Mont Blanc is a paradox carved in ice, a mountain that looks inviting but hides a body count higher than any other in Europe. It's the birthplace of mountaineering, the peak that inspired generations to climb, but also the mountain that has broken more families than any in the Alps. Every year, it lures thousands who dream of the summit, and every year, it reminds us that beauty and danger often walk hand in hand. What makes Mont Blanc so deadly isn't just the avalanches, rockfall, or storms. It's the illusion that it's easy. From the valleys below, it looks like a giant snow hill, and with cable cars carrying tourists thousands of meters up, it almost feels accessible to anyone with sturdy boots. But the truth is harsher. At nearly 5,000 meters, the air is thin, the weather ruthless, and the risks constant. Some climbers train for years to prepare their bodies. Others just train their credit card by hiring a guide. And while the latter may buy you a chance at the summit, it can't buy you respect from the mountain. Mont Blanc doesn't care if you're experienced or a first-timer, rich or poor, brave or naive. It rewards some with breathtaking views and lifelong memories. For others, it becomes the final chapter of their story. Standing on its summit is to touch the roof of Europe, but standing there safely is never guaranteed. That is the legacy of Mont Blanc, a place where triumph and tragedy are forever entwined. The White Killer, beautiful, brutal, and eternal.